Hi, this is Cora Stack here. Apologies for the hairdo. I just wanted to talk about something now that I finally figured out. It's like a puzzle I've been trying to figure out for a long time, and so let's just get to the script. The buried truth: how Ireland's whistleblower law was silenced. So this is all just research. For years, I've been trying to understand what really happened to Ireland's whistleblowing protection framework, why the Protective Disclosures Act 2014 never worked, and how these failures were quietly buried under a legislative amendment in 2022. I have it all figured out now. It took a while, you see, going around the election really was how it all kind of came together in my mind. So I am Dr. Cora Stack, one of the presidential nominees, and it was the whole what happened during that really distilled all of it into clarity. So all of the things, it was a clarification exercise, and it was a research exercise, it was political, but So, and my new report on the alleged legislative dilution of the Protective Disclosures Framework 2014-2022 is now available on Academia.edu. Sadly, the report exposes one of the most serious acts, allegedly, of legislative concealment in the history of the Irish state. That's how serious it is. I mean, it's shocking in the extreme. But what began as academic research for me into why Ireland's whistleblowing framework failed to protect truth tellers turned into a long and extremely painful journey. I mean, if anybody knew what was done to me to stop this from being exposed or being understood fully, that in itself would be another a movie and a story. Absolutely shocking abuse was done to me. I mean, my findings show neglect and abuse, and it was all obviously because this was, in my opinion, it was to stop this from ever being exposed. The research, stopping academic researchers. My findings showed that the 2004 Act was never lawfully implemented. There were no independent reporting channels, no confidential act. There was in particular, it was loaded with acts of omission. Many whistleblowers were penalised, and the state did nothing. And in particular, I referred to the three Limerick whistleblowers that, and what happened to Sergeant Mark, but that they were only a fraction of the people who have suffered hugely because they have no protection. When I submitted my research to the Department of Public Expenditure Reform, the response was not to fix the system, but to change the law. The Protective Disclosures Amendment Act 2022 under Minister Michael McGrath did something extraordinary. It retrofitted, we all know that from the retrofitted legality onto illegality. Shocking. It allegedly concealed years of non-compliance, redefined wrongdoing, and insulated departments from retrospective accountability. Absolutely shocking. And during the same period, a new Protective Disclosures Commissioner office was quietly created. This was the ingenuity of it. An office with sweeping administrative control, including over what evidence or documentation can move forward in certain cases, particularly to the courts, where there was nothing allowed to be referred in any way to the courts. And it became non-justicable. Not even that, quasi-justicable. My own research paper, which documented these constitutional procedural breaches, now they would only have been considered constitutional breaches had they reached the court, but there was I said the courts were the place for this, to sort all this mess out, and to try and help the Irish people develop a better Protective Disclosures Act. But it went the other way to the concealment, the concealment place where it would be concealed, and this would happen. So instead of going up to the courts, it went down. It went in another direction, another legal direction to kind of cover it all up. It was obstructed, suppressed, and never allowed to reach a courtroom. It is now formally listed as an exhibit, not a living document. The result is chilling. A whistleblowing designed to protect truth became a system to bury it. This is not just administrative error. It presents potential breaches of Article 15.2 of the Constitution, the Oireachtas exclusive lawmaking process, undermined by lawful implementation. Article 34, denial of access to justice. Article 40.3, failure to protect personal and constitutional rights. And Article 258 of the Treaty on the Functioning of the European Union due to Ireland's failure to properly transpose the EU Whistleblower Directive. What happened here is not just wrong, it's systemic, deliberate, and deeply unethical. For years, this story was buried. My academic work was buried, but now it's public, fully documented, and independently verifiable. The report is not an opinion piece, it is evidence. Evidence of how a government framework can be written to hide its own illegality. It is my hope that people in Ireland, in Europe, and beyond will read this and ask one simple question: how could this happen in a democracy? The time for silence is open. You can read their full report in Academia.edu, reporting the alleged legislative dilution of the protective disclosures that 2024 to 2022, Dr. Cora M. Stack, October 205, hashtag whistleblowing, hashtag accountability, hashtag Ireland, hashtag democracy, hashtag rule of law, hashtag EU law. And So what was buried for years is now public. So I can't describe what was done to me in order to stop this video forever being created or distributed, or this research forever being completed. And it's now an exhibit in a court case. It is shocking in the extreme, and I can't tell you what they did to me to stop this. And obviously they were, they, inverted commas, were watching me for years, and I can't tell you what they did to me and what they did to my children and my family. It is shocking in the extreme what they did to my career, everything, what they did to try and stop my research from being put in the public interest. And the penalisation under the Act couldn't be worse. It couldn't actually be worse what they did, and it's shocking in the extreme. But I lived to survive. They say if you could survive psychopathy, you'll get stronger, and I survived it. I've survived it, but not without scars. Definitely not without scars, and in particular, what was done to my family and my children. My wider family as well. My friends and everything like that. How everything was designed to make me out to be kind of some kind of a nutcase, to stitch me up by a false arrest, etc., etc. Everything was designed to conceal, to help conceal this from coming out to the public. Now it's in the exhibit, and there's nothing wrong with me. I'm an extremely bright person, a bit of a genius, a legal genius, as everybody's saying now, but that's not the point. It's what they did with my research in the public interest to protect not just me, but many people like me who have hugely suffered and who would only for this research suffer going forward. And the concealment and the amount of breaches here is shocking in the extreme. Anyway, hopefully we'll get a good judge. The judge, hopefully he won't be one of them, but we don't know. There could all be goods. Would the judiciary want to be in compliance with EU legislation? It's their duty to act within their roles of the duty. I've no idea how this case is going to go, but this is an explosive expose. But this was brought into the case, but I have more clarity about it now, absolute clarity, and I needed a few days to kind of piece it all together and to put it in a paper. So all, as I say, is I'm going along and writing all these papers, and it's been a great research time for me, because I've had all of this in my mind for years and years, and I've had, I suppose, this whole challenge has brought it out on paper, and so a pile of all my life's work really is now on paper on Academia.edu, and every day I'm getting, everyone around the world is reading it, so I'm so pleased to finally. And of course the global award I got, I think, has really gave me that bit of a boost to believe in myself again after all that horrific penalisation. And sure, we'll just leave it at that, and we'll just keep on going, and hopefully the judiciary will do the right thing, but we can't say what that is. That's purely in the hands of the judiciary and the excellent people on the judicial review list, hopefully guided by the President of the High Court. But I have no say in their judgment. I don't know what they're going to say, but I wouldn't like to, as somebody said, I wouldn't like to go against you. But that's a few people have said that to me over the years. I wouldn't like to be up against you. You're not someone I'd like to take on. Well, it's not about that. It's about it's about doing the right thing for democracy and for people and for the Irish people. I mean, I'm only or a conduit of this. I'm a conduit, like everybody else is in the all the world's a stage, etc., etc. By the wonderful William Shakespeare, and great minds think alike. So hopefully we'll have a better good mind in the judge, but who knows? I'm certainly a great mind. I would say that this fellow is a very smart judge. He's one of the smartest, I'd say, around. But I don't know much about him, so I'd say there wouldn't be much that would go past him. So obviously it's a huge decision for the Judicial Review List and the President of the High Court.